Go ahead, Luis. You was gonna say something.
Yeah, I was gonna say I wanted to go back and highlight a couple things that Ash had brought up. I know she brought up, look, I'm all for giving grace. I understand that we all gone through different trials and tribulations throughout our lives. So, I'm all for giving grace and understanding and meeting people where they are, but I'm also for self development. I'm for people understanding it's okay not to be okay, and I understand that, and I give you that grace. But it's okay not to be okay, and I understand that, and I give you that grace. But it's not okay to stay there, baby girl. That's the problem, and I think a lot of people feel too comfortable staying where they are. Right? They don't want to get there, and one of the things that we are trying to kind of evolve in this conversation is people, doing the reflection and kind of seeking the help to kind of get out of that space. I know you talked about, I know you talked about different things about, well, I didn't have this condition and stuff like that. I understand that. But I hope you can find it within yourself to want to self develop and want to improve, not only for yourself, but your future partner, for your future kids, and whatever that situation might look like. I don't want people to stay too comfortable where they're at. Like I said again, it's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to stay there. Seek therapy, seek help, seek community, seek worship, etc. But also don't feel comfortable saying that. I think too many people are just too comfortable trying to be a victim, and I know we're all victim at some level, but at some point I want you to conquer that. I want people to kind of evolve. And relationships are all about evolution. We need to evolve. We're evolving together. We're growing. We're learning each other, and we're making the conscious effort each and every day. Right? I'm listening to you. I'm paying attention to you, your needs, your wants, your concerns, and how I address them. Right? In the beginning, things are not going to be perfect, and things are not going to be right spot on. I'm going to mess up, and I'm going to be honest and tell you right up front. I will fuck up, but in that fuck up, I will make the correction, and I will understand the errors in my ways, and I will recourse and make the necessary moves and to ensure that I effectively communicate to you, and I effectively ensure that this relationship keeps full. I will do my part. I can't control your effort. You need to put your effort every day. If I tell you you need to self improve and I need you not to do certain things, I need you to work towards that. And I need you to understand the bigger goal in terms of this dynamic, right? We can't cleave onto the past. We got to leave that alone. You got to trailblaze your future, towards your future. You know, we can't rewrite the past. It is what it is. People who didn't grow up with fathers or mothers weren't this particular type of way. It We got to give them grace too because they were doing the best that they could and the best they know how at that time, right? But now it's your responsibility and your opportunity to carry the mantle and change the future and the trajectory of your family. You've seen the cycle. Do you want to get off that hamster wheel? Do you want to, continue to ride it out? And I think that right there becomes the cornerstone of a lot of things. People just really getting out of their way to do the work to not repeat old cycles that tend to be almost like family curse or generational what's the word? Generational curses.
Lewis, I
Hey,
agree. I agree with everything that you're saying. I really do. So, one of the things that I do in my community, right? I'm a peer recovery coach. I hear everybody's talking about therapy, but part of that therapy is going through your trauma, right? And sometimes that is one of the lowest parts points in your life, right? When you actually have to relive the things that you may not even realize caused you to act a certain type of way. So is what I'm saying is if you're going when you're acknowledging the things that our culture has experienced that nobody else have, not even just that, just but maybe even some things that may have acquired throughout our childhood lives. You have to what I'm saying is give grace. And a lot of times, especially on podcasts, you might see people constantly pointing their fingers. That's why I'm trying to get you to understand. Sometimes it's not about just trying to hold somebody accountable. Get to know somebody's story first, right? Show them that compassion. You get more flies with honey than you do with shit. That's my whole point. A lot of times people be trying to be so combative to tell people, oh, you're wrong, you're this, you're that. But love covers a multitude of things. You'll reach people better like that. You'll reach the culture better like that versus men versus having a podcast full of black men constantly downing black women, or having a podcast with a whole bunch of black women constantly downing black men. Everybody has their place in a relationship or the culture to blame. That's my whole thing. I just don't think that we're against each other. I acknowledge the things that we've gone through, right? If you know where you came from, you can actually direct where you want to go. Acknowledge what we've been through, right? We're gonna get past it. We're gonna acknowledge it. We're gonna get past it. We're gonna recognize your traumas, and then that's move forward from it. But if you're constantly trying to tell people to kind of sweep over the shit that they've been through, that's not how that works. If anybody on this podcast or even in the comments, just take a look at what trauma actually does to your DNA and how your kids inherit those type of things, you will understand that that's not just a 1, 2, 3 type of thing. It's called epigenetics. That's my whole thing. I really like stuff like that. So I know that I try to lead with love. And once I've did that, I've been helping a lot of people in my community with get off drugs, all of those type of things. I lead with love, but I hold them accountable after I build that relationship with them, not just point the finger and say, well, you gotta get accountability. I don't know your story. That's what I'm saying.
I appreciate what you're saying, Ash, and I think we're all trying to bring it together. I'll definitely say what I see a lot. Our community spends entirely too much time victimizing our circumstance in this country and the things that have taken place. I think that at this point, I've seen Amira pop up on this panel over the last year and a half, and almost every single time she's on this panel, somebody has to say, but you're not Black, or you don't understand the circumstance. And it becomes now a point to where, well, no, I think we just like to bond to that limitation. Mm-hmm. If we're going to take the power of the community and stand and hold credence to the men being, educated and strong and all those things, as well as the women, then I think we need to do that in fullness and stop victimizing and trying to create this gap to where the men of the community, the men on this panel and those who are listening, are trying to bring love in correction. A part of that comes from understanding that you're going to hear things that you may not always like, that you're going to also be guided and pushed in a direction that may be uncomfortable for you. And if you just so happen to be one that was not raised with your father, and you can't recognize it, because I think most brothers understand it is hard for the women to understand what love from a man looks like. You need to also be open to that, instead of always hearing, hey, well, you know what it is, you know how the community is. We know that. So I think that at this point, there should be a development past that being a crutch, because I don't look at us as victims. And I digress.